Nikola Tesla, 1856 to 1943. Tesla was often referred to as an eccentric scientific genius whose inventions in the field of electrical apparatus stemmed from inspirations received in extraordinary visions of a paranormal character. Unlike most innovators in the fields of engineering and electricity, his inventions did not require patient experiment and trial and error testing of models. The ideas flashed into his mind as working units, complete to the final details of component design and size. For example, as a young student of electrical engineering and physics, at a time when the concept of alternating current was considered a fallacy of the perpetual motion type, he knew that he could solve this problem. After only a few years of consideration of the problem, the complete detailed vision of an alternating current motor using a rotating magnetic field came to him while he gazed at a sunset. He was born in July 10, 1856, in the village of Simuljan in the Austro-Hungarian border area of Lika, now in Slovenia. Even as a boy, he was inventive. At the age of 9 he constructed a 16-bug power motor by harnessing June bugs to a thin wooden wheel. He was educated at an elementary school, then had 4 years at Lower Realschule, Gospic, Lika, which was followed by 3 years at the Higher Realschule, Karlstadt, Croatia. He graduated in 1873. Tesla was a student for 4 years at the Polytechnic School, Graz, Austria, studying mathematics, physics, and mechanics. Afterward he enrolled in philosophy studies for 2 years at the University of Prague, Bohemia, now the capital of the Czech Republic. He commenced his career as an inventor in Budapest, Hungary, in 1881. There he constructed a telephone repeater and engaged in various branches of engineering and manufacture. In 1884 he immigrated to the United States, later becoming a naturalized citizen. For nearly a year he worked for inventor Thomas A. Edison, who was impressed by his skill and hard work, but the two men were diametrically opposed in temperament and method. Tesla was a visionary who solved problems in a flash of insight, whereas Edison relied on patient trial and error in practical experiments. Tesla insisted on the superiority of alternating current and its applications, whereas Edison believed it a dead end and championed direct current. Tesla parted company with Edison after being promised $50,000 for improving the design and efficiency of dynamos. When Tesla solved the problem and asked for the money, Edison said he was only joking. Tesla immediately resigned. His salary at the Edison Company had been modest. For the next 2 years he had a difficult time, but in 1887 he was back to form the Tesla Electric Company in New York. He was now able to construct the alternating current machines he had visualized earlier. The Tesla system made it possible to supply electricity economically over distances of hundreds of miles, instead of the short distances of the Edison direct current powerhouses. Tesla's demonstrations made a great impression on another inventor, George Westinghouse of the Westinghouse Electric Company of Pittsburgh. Westinghouse paid Tesla $1 million for rights on his alternating current system, comprising some 40 patents, with a contract additionally stipulating a royalty of $1 per horsepower. In attempting to span the continent with an alternating current system, Westinghouse ran into financial difficulties. His own backers insisted that he renounce his royalty contract to Tesla, otherwise they would withdraw support. When Westinghouse explained his difficulty to Tesla, Tesla recalled how Westinghouse had believed in him. In a magnanimous gesture, Tesla tore up his contract, thereby sacrificing some $12 million in unpaid royalties. Tesla went on to invent new apparatus involving original principles. He was responsible for many important innovations: the system of electricity conversion and distribution by oscillatory discharges, generators of high-frequency current, the Tesla coil or transformer, a system of wireless transmission of intelligence, mechanical oscillators and generators of electrical oscillation, research and discoveries in radiation, material streams, and emanations, and high-potential magnifying transmitting. One of his most spectacular achievements was harnessing the water power of Niagara Falls. In 1895, the Westinghouse Electric Company installed a gigantic hydroelectric project, using the Tesla polyphase system of alternating current. Tesla opened up many important avenues of scientific development and has rarely been properly acknowledged by later historians. His experiments with electromagnetic waves formed the basis of the development of radio. He stated that cosmic rays were responsible for the radioactivity of radium, thorium, and uranium, and predicted that other substances would be made radioactive by bombardment. He thus anticipated the basic principles of X-ray apparatus and the electron microscope. In his work with wireless-controlled automata, he anticipated radio-controlled rocket missiles. Not surprisingly, he had one or two blind spots. He did not accept for many years that atomic fission would produce energy. He misunderstood the mechanism of vision. He believed that visual images perceived by the brain were returned to the retina of the eye, and might be amplified or projected. However, there was no mistaking his own extraordinary visionary faculty and the discoveries associated with it. In an article titled, "Making Your Imagination Work for You," he wrote, "During my boyhood I had suffered from a peculiar affliction due to the appearance of images, which were often accompanied by strong flashes of light. Then I began to take mental excursions beyond the small world of my actual knowledge. Day and night, in imagination, I went on journeys, saw new places, cities, countries, and all the time I tried hard to make these imaginary things very sharp and clear in my mind. This I did constantly until I was 17, when my thoughts turned seriously to invention. Then, to my delight, I found I could visualize with the greatest facility. I needed no models, drawings, or experiments. I could picture them all in my head. Here, in brief, is my own method. After experiencing a desire to invent a particular thing, I may go on for months or years with the idea in the back of my head. Whenever I feel like it, I roam around in my imagination and think about the problem without any deliberate concentration. This is a period of incubation. There follows a period of direct effort. I choose carefully the possible solutions of the problem I am considering, and gradually center my mind on a narrowed field of investigation. Now, when I am deliberately thinking of the problem in its specific features, I may begin to feel that I am going to get the solution. And the wonderful thing is, that if I do feel this way, then I know I have really solved the problem and shall get what I am after. The feeling is as convincing to me as though I already had solved it. I have come to the conclusion that at this stage the actual solution is in my mind subconsciously, though it may be a long time before I am aware of it consciously. Before I put a sketch on paper, the whole idea is worked out mentally. In my mind I change the construction, make improvements, and even operate the device. Without ever having drawn a sketch, I can give the measurements of all parts to workmen, and when completed all these parts will fit, just as certainly as though I had made the actual drawings. It is immaterial to me whether I run my machine in my mind or test it in my shop. The inventions I have conceived in this way have always worked. In 30 years there has not been a single exception. My first electric motor, the vacuum tube wireless light, my turbine engine, and many other devices have all been developed in exactly this way. Tesla's friend and biographer John J. O'Neill stated that Tesla was unquestionably an abnormal individual, and of a type that does have what are known as psychic experiences. He was emphatic in his denial that he ever had experiences of that sort, yet he has related incidents that clearly belong in the psychic category. According to O'Neill, Tesla was fearful that admitting to having psychic experiences might cause him to be misunderstood as supporting spiritualism or theories that something operates in life other than matter and energy. In his later years, Tesla suffered financial difficulties and was unable to construct some of his most ambitious inventions. He claimed he had discovered an inexhaustible source of energy that could be transmitted anywhere in the world without wires or loss of power. He correctly foresaw that at some future time, it will be possible for nations to fight without armies, ships, or guns by weapons far more terrible, to the destructive action and range of which there is virtually no limit. Tesla is credited with having discovered a protective radiation principle of the kind popularly termed death ray. In 1912 he refused the Nobel Prize because it was to be awarded jointly to himself and Thomas A. Edison. Instead the award went to the Swedish scientist Gustaf Dalén. In an unpublished article entitled Man's Greatest Achievement, cited in O'Neill's biographical Prodigal Genius, 1968, Tesla writes, "Long ago he, the human being, recognized that all perceptible matter comes from a primary substance, or tenuity beyond conception, filling all space, the akasa or luminiferous ether, which is acted upon by the life-giving prana or creative force, calling into existence, in never-ending cycles, all things and phenomena. This is the language of theosophy or Hindu metaphysics." Tesla's states of higher consciousness, achieved by intense concentration and a celibate life, resemble Hindu concepts of cosmic energy in the universe, aroused in the human body under the name of Kundalini through yoga disciplines and meditation, resulting in expanded consciousness and access to an infinity of cosmic intelligence. Tesla died in poverty in New York on January 7, 1943. Soon afterward, FBI operatives opened the safe in his room and took away papers reputedly containing details of a secret invention of possible value in warfare. Tesla was a complete recluse in his last years, living in a series of New York hotel rooms. At his death his papers and notes were seized. They are now housed in the Nikola Tesla Museum in Belgrade, Yugoslavia, a country in which he is revered as a national hero. Tesla is responsible for many of the technologies we use today. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.